No worries here.
All right, great, thanks. Well, thanks for showing up, everybody. It's the Great Lakes Regional Advisory Lodge, GLRAL, periodic meeting to get a status, to go over some COVID guidance that we got from the National Longhouse, and to share ideas about anything from recruiting to elections to the events that you may or may not have been conducting or plan on conducting in the future. My base longhouse is the Crooked River Local Longhouse. We've done some interesting things, so we'll be sharing with that. Here is the agenda for today. So we'll start off with the longhouse status, just a 3 up and 3 down type thing. And we'll go to the National Longhouse COVID guidance, then talk about elections, longhouse dues. By now, you should have noticed that national dues should be up on your Circle Bridge site. I do know that Crooked River is waiving local dues this year in hopes that people will still re-up as a motivator. I mean, we're doing okay financially, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, and then we'll talk about ideas. So we got a new chief here. That's Chris Williams of Cuyahoga. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And I think everybody else is an old chief, so I'll leave that as is. Okay, I'll start off with Crooked River. Membership, surprisingly, is holding steady. We've lost a couple of people, but we picked up a couple of people too. So we're just about the same as we were last year starting off. We've had several events and participation is down, but that's simply because of the COVID emergency going on. And we do have tribe meetings for the tribes that generally continue to meet. They are meeting, and it's fortunate that this pandemic is happening kind of during the summer. And we have the great Metro Park system where we live, because they've been making full use of that. And we'll talk about some of the events that we've been doing that fit right in with that. I will say that we have 2 longhouses in the region, Toledo and Two Feathers, that I think are gone. I call and call and call and email, and I get no response. We absorbed some members of Two Feathers into Crooked River last year, and the other one said that we didn't do enough to recruit them, so they're not going to join. So our red carpet was in the cleaners. We couldn't roll it out for them, but that's too bad for them. I hate to have that attitude, but we extended a helping hand numerous times, and that's what you get sometimes. We have the national chief on here, Creaking Oak, Ray Junk. And Ray, I'm going to ask you, are we going to do a tentative national meeting next year? Is it going to be February?
You know, we've been so preoccupied with trying to figure out what we're doing with COVID that I haven't even begun to look at the national meeting. I think before the last 2 years, it was typically held in the May-June timeframe, and we may go back to, I think we would probably go back to that timeframe instead of February, but location and that sort of thing, I really couldn't tell you much about that yet. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll leave the question marks around it and remove the February then. Okay, Chagrin. What have you got?
So we haven't got recruiting. We haven't done recruiting yet, so we don't have a lot signed up. We did do one camp out that was sort of a carryover. We pushed back the spring camp out to July, And that seemed to go, I guess it was the end of July into the first week of August. That seems to get decent attendance. And like I said, we haven't started recruiting yet for this year, so I couldn't tell you whether the numbers are up or down. I'm going to suspect that they're down just because it's been, we're going to see, we're trying, we've been looking at partnering with the daughters to do sort of joint campouts to get the numbers up. So we're going to try the same thing for Camp Fitch here in October and see. But yeah, recruiting, we haven't tackled yet. We normally pass out flyers, go to the kindergarten orientations, but they're not even having them really this year,
Yeah.
in person. So that's been tough. But I can't tell you what the numbers are, but I would assume we might be down a little bit just because it's hard to get, it's hard to get people to want to come out and go to things right now.
Yeah, definitely. Where did you go camping?
Tudik, Camp Tudik. They have a Mohican Adventures. So they do,
Oh,
yeah, so you do the camp out and then you go rent rafts or canoes or kayaks and just float down the river as your
Yeah.
Saturday event.
that's what we did too. That's what Crooked River did too. Not Wilderness Adventures. And we were able to keep good social distancing down there too. So I'm
Yeah,
very proud of our kids.
tent camping is easy. Fitch is working with us. They're gonna do cabins
Oh,
instead
wow.
of cabins, and they're trying to do so. They're gonna give you a cabin, and then whoever's in that stays in that group for all of so you travel as that group for all the activities.
Yeah, the
Food is
events are great.
Yeah, food's gonna be so no cafeteria. They're gonna have like pickup sort of things. So I think we're gonna be able to make that work. But yeah, recruiting is still a question mark.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what a cabent is, it's kind of a wooden structure with a roof, and then you put the roll-up sides on it. It's got like 8 bunks in there. So you roll up the sides and it's open air, and that's exactly the kind of thing we're looking for. And, in October, it might get a little bit chilly, but not going to be freezing.
Jason, how many people were at your July camp out?
I think it was pretty lean. I think it was what did the number? I got a number and I don't have it. I think it was between 30 and 40 total, dads and kids. So I mean, it was pretty low.
That's still a good amount. I mean, 30 people, it's nothing to shake a stick at.
It was enough to have it, especially with it being a small enough event. Yeah. Because we had 68 accept, but I know that we did we told people they could cancel it up to the last minute, and the campsite was really great at working with us. So, so we had some drop off.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear the campsites are working with you just the same as they work with us. Anything else at this time?
No, not that I can think of right now.
Okay, Chris?
Yeah, so we all had a spring camp out that we did not do back in June. Mark, who's also on the line, the former chief for our longhouse, really went above and beyond as far as planning sort of a day camp, I guess you could call it. We started around noon or so at this place called Camp Hiram, or Hiram House.
Yeah.
It's in Moreland Hills. We had, between dads and kids, I think close to 80 people total. So in order to keep social distancing, there was a lot of planning we put ahead of time. We organized groups of about 12 to 13 or so per group. We ordered colored bandanas and gave everyone a bandana color that associated with their group, so it was easy for people to keep track of where they should be. And there were 6 groups with 6 different activities. It just had a timetable where people rotated from activity to activity, so you didn't have anyone all gathered at the same activity at the same time. We started the whole thing with a charity walk, and we were able to easily keep social distancing during that. For dinner, we ordered pizza. We had just a couple of dads wearing gloves and masks, plating it up and handing it out to people, so that, there was very little handling of food from that perspective. And then we're able to do a torch march to finish it off, and then sent everyone home pretty tired. So, a very successful event, I think, from our point of view. We typically will have a lot more people at a camp out than that. We might get up to 150. So from the what we're used to as far as the numbers go, it was small, but from the standpoint of having a lot of people, it seemed pretty big. Going forward, from a recruiting standpoint, we've really, we spent a couple of hours on the phone. I think it was Monday evening, some of the senior leadership just kicking around ideas for what we wanted to do. Our typical recruiting rally is it's outdoor in the Metro Park under a pavilion. The kids are working on crafts. They're running around on the jungle gyms. They're shooting off paper rockets, the air rockets that we haven't put together. And we were really concerned about our ability to maintain control and present a very responsible face to people new to the program. We thought, do we just do a dads only recruiting rally? But thankfully, sort of, contemporaneous with this, Mark, who's got a good marketing background, put together these signs, kind of like the lawn signs you see the schools hand out, put out similar type lawn signs, and he's got 4 different versions that we're gonna this weekend hand out to all of our members to put in their yards, with various things like give mom a break, join CVNSD, do you want to be the cool dad, you want to make memories, connect with your kids more than they connect with the Wi-Fi, different things like the things that Mark came up with. So we'll be distributing those out, and then looking to get interest that way. And then we're also going to do a week from this Saturday a bike parade on the towpath, where kids will be encouraged to come. We're calling it the Welcome Back Bike Parade, but we're also encouraging people to bring friends if they are interested in joining. Decorate your bike. We'll hand out a couple of small like Honey Hut gift certificate prizes. And then have everyone just ride on the towpath. Again, use it as social distance that way, at least something to get people together. So that's sort of what we're doing from a recruiting standpoint. We all waived our local dues. We're just charging $5 for local dues, because again, I think like a lot of people, we're as concerned about retaining as we are about growing. We figure if we can, if nothing else, hunker down, keep who we have, so that next year we can try to come back stronger than this year. Mark, anything I didn't talk about there?
No, I think that, excuse me, I think that about covers it. I don't know, George, if you want us to share stuff now. If anybody else is interested in Hiram House, the executive director is a pal of mine, although that didn't get us any financial discounts. It did cost us about $2,000 for the day. So the Longhouse, we roughly lost money, basically broke even on it. I think we bought a lot of wipes, a lot of hand sanitizers, and a lot of sort of PPE kind of stuff. But they're open to having us there. It's a cool camp. Restrooms were easy. Their staff was easy to work with. But yeah, if anybody's interested. And then I also have a buddy of mine that works at a print shop. So I can show you guys the yard signs here later. But if you guys are interested, we ordered 100 of them, and he charged me $5 a pop for double-sided 18 by 24 yard signs like you see for all the spec school signs and graduation things. So
That's a great price.
Yeah, so happy to share that resource with you guys. I checked with him today and I said, I know I'm a buddy of yours, but would you charge these other guys more? And he said, no, if they ordered 100, we'll do the same. And if you want to go over 100, you might even be able to get it down more than that. But they're right downtown, so it should be easy for you guys.
Yeah, wow, that's really great. So Mark's the marketing genius. Did you catch that, Ray?
You broke up there, George. Was that?
I definitely caught that. And Mark, I like that idea, and particularly as a pandemic idea. I worked as the recruitment chief in our Longhouse for like the last 4 years. I think assistant the year before that. So recruitment has been my life for a few years. And I had one of the moms come to me with this idea a couple of years ago. Not exactly like this, but a version of this with the yard signs. And I thought, oh man, that sounds great. But you know, these days the neighborhoods, they're not as close knit, you know, as they were maybe when I was a kid. Certainly when, you know, my dad was a kid. But that may have changed in the last few months.
Yeah, we're all home walking our dogs.
That's right, and noticing the neighbors, you know, for a change. So I'm gonna, I've been taking notes here, and I'll definitely be sending that idea to our new recruitment chief, just to say, hey, you know, in case you're thinking or looking for new recruitment ideas.
And
So yeah,
Ray, we did proudly steal your Order of the White Buffalo. So we're establishing that in our Longhouse too. And we're making it so you recruit a member, you become a member, this Order of the White Buffalo. We're going to get those patches from the patch store. We might do some t-shirts and other things. And looking for other incentives. I know you guys give the free camp out, but our camp outs are wildly different, and we're probably not sleeping over anywhere anytime soon. So we're excited to get that up and running as well.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing a great job. If you ever need anything or have any questions, you know, I'm always available.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job, you guys. That's terrific. And I guarantee that at least Crooked River will be buying at least 100 of those signs, because we've been talking about that. I don't know if you've seen on the billboards around Northeast Ohio a few months ago, there was a "Who is Jenny" or something like that. What is Jenny?
Yeah, who is Jenny? It's the
Jenny.
It's the 107.3, formerly the Wave radio station.
Yeah, the radio station. So we were trying to come up with something with that, and I think that work, especially if we can do, you know, so many signs for that. But you know, we have about 3 dozen signs, and about 2 dozen of them get put up. But you put 100 signs up, somebody's gonna see it.
Yeah, do you want me to share my screen? I can show you them here.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing mine and go on ahead.
You have disabled share or screen sharing.
Now you should be able to do it.
Nope.
And who was it there who has the
Go ahead.
All right.
the inside track on getting those signs for $5 a pop?
So I do. I'm a creative
Chris?
director in an ad agency.
No, it's Mark. Mark does.
Mark, okay.
Yep. So we have this connect with your kids more than Wi-Fi. We have this mom needs a break. This was the one that went up in my yard. I want to be the cool dad. And then childhood is short, memories are long. And we actually have 175 because my print shop goofed and they printed 100 of one as opposed to 25 of four. So we have an overage of signs.
Wow, those are really nice, and they're easy to read.
Yep.
I like that.
So I can share files and give you guys all that if you want.
Go ahead and send them to me right away.
All right.
Thanks. Wow, great job, guys. I'm so glad to hear that. So did you have the recruiting event though? You did have that?
No, as far as the bike parade, that'll be this Saturday, or a week from this Saturday coming up.
Okay, because we're going to do a virtual one in Crooked River, because we have one. We do it in the Metro Parks, in a pavilion. We've got crafts, got a presentation and everything. But the way that we looked at it was, you know, we can't control people coming in and everything. And we get actually more people online inquiring than in person anyway. So instead of, you know, the appearance of possibly looking irresponsible, which we don't want to do, we're not going to do it this year. And the Metro Parks is good enough to refund our money. So that was a blessing too. So we'll let you know how the virtual one goes too, but those signs are great, Mark. Thank you for sharing. All right. All right, get the screen back out. I think that covers everybody who's here from Great Lakes region. So we'll go ahead and go on. So the COVID-19 guidance.
Hey, George, sorry,
Yeah.
one thing. Can you go back to that previous slide? Where is Three Fires in Tarhee?
Tarhee is in west of Columbus. I think in the Springfield area, maybe a little bit north of that. And Three Fires is Michigan.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sure. So the COVID-19 guidance, you should have gotten a copy of the letter. The chiefs should have. Mark, did you get this? Jason, did you get it?
I got an email. I'm pretty sure that was in it.
Okay, with the pandemic statement, concerns and guidelines. It's not a policy, it's a guideline, but they conferred with our insurance carrier about doing different things. But it's basically follow the CDC disease control and prevention guidelines, as well as state and local procedures and mandates. And there are things that they would want us to do, such as having a form for everybody who participates in an event. And I have not seen that form yet. I see Ray is probably off right now.
It was that.
I'm here.
That form was sent. We used it actually for our event that we just did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we actually had temperature guns. We took everyone's temperature, had them answer the questions, and then we'll retain those forms for everybody who attended.
Well, that's great. I have not seen the form, so I need to check a little bit closer. Where did you get the temperature things?
Actually, my office has them, so I sort of borrowed them for the weekend from the office. I think we got them off Amazon like months ago when this whole thing started. But it's those sort of guns you aim at someone's head and it digitally takes the temperature within a couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm. I have one of those for like checking for seals in my house, you know, for air drafts and everything. Is that what you're using?
It's similar to that, but it's made specifically for taking a person's temperature.
Okay.
We actually tried using one of those in the office at the very, very beginning. We found it wasn't very accurate. These were a bit more accurate, I think, if you're really sweaty, it can't get your temperature for some reason, but otherwise it does pretty accurate. And so, you know, we had everyone in their own handwriting fill it out and answer the questions, and then I would take their temperature, they would write it down, and then they signed it, and then we'll just retain those for each event that we do.
Okay, that's great, because that's exactly what they want you to do. Pat, in Florida, did you get a copy of the form and the guidance?
I'm fighting with the mute button. Yeah,
It's
we
okay.
did get.
Okay, are you using it?
I'm in the process of talking to all my sites now, so I know that Eola and Canaveral are using it.
Okay, that's great. That's what's required, and have a good way to store those documents in your records. And I would keep them probably for a couple of years anyway, just to see what happens from there. The rest of the guidance talks about specific sites where you might be camping or having an event or something like that. And they say, you know, go with whatever they think is good. And it's been our experience in Crooked River, and probably your experience too, that their policy is to go with whatever we choose to do. So it's like dueling insurance guidance for doing different things. But, you know, the normal stuff goes. You know, Chris said they bought a whole bunch of hand sanitizer and bandanas to use and other PPE, and that's a great thing, especially for the guys handling food and distributing it. And that's the common sense stuff that I think we're known for. And I just want you to keep it up for that. You know, this coming fall, the Cabent thing, that's a little bit outdoors and everything, but you know, some might want to go inside and camp if it gets too cold. You really have to think about what you're doing right there, because you're in an enclosed space, and you know, you go in and out through a door without a mask on, and you're a little bit too close to somebody else, and that's how it spreads. I heard a news story today It talked about most of the outbreaks that are happening right now are in family groups, and then branching out from there, and then young people deciding to have a party and going from there. So, you know, as long as we do what we're supposed to do and document it the way we're supposed to document it, that is probably the best way to go about doing things. So let's follow each other's advice and use that form and take care of it that way. Any questions on the guidance?
No,
Ray?
no questions. I will say I found the email. There's an August 1 email from National that included that form. George, I can forward that to you if you want. If you want to distribute it.
Hey, Ray, is that on line too? Is that on the national website?
I do not think it's on the website, but it was sent out, broadcast to all members, I believe.
All right.
And I also believe that the same email that has the updated COVID statement, because it was updated from one that was sent out in March, that latest one in the same email, it has both attachments, the updated statement and the form that you're looking for.
Okay, I'll find it. Chris, if I can't find it, I'll contact you.
I just forwarded it to you.
Okay, thanks. You have a brand name for those temperature checks?
I don't, but I can get that to you. That's at home right now, but I can get that to you when I get home.
All right, please send me that, share that, and we'll pass that on too. Okay, any other questions? Ray, you got anything else to add about the COVID guidance?
Nope, I think you said it.
Okay, I can speak for Crooked River. Our chief did not want to be voted out after serving only a couple of months and missing some of the bigger events that we have. When we do mini cars, the chief is a central part of that because he calls every one of the 80-some races that we have and fawns all over the winner and, you know, talks like he's on TV and everything like that. So he missed out on that and a couple of other things too. So we decided in Crooked River not to have elections this year. We usually have a new chief every year. So we're stepping out of that. But because of that, we have an extra chief. So one chief didn't cycle out and be a sachem, but we did get another chief in. So that's a good thing. But we're still short chiefs. And I'd like to hear from you guys, not only if you had elections and everything, but how you're going with the chiefs, like events chief, recruiting chief, marketing chief. Because we're actually thinking of adding a recruiting new member chiefs for that to gain some management experience. Now we're a little bit different from everybody else because we have moms and dads, and our chief next year is going to be a mom. But I do know that some women seek this kind of opportunity, and it might actually work well for us. I'm not saying it's going to work for you, but how are you guys doing on chiefs and OICs and other volunteers in your longhouse? Jason, you want to start?
Sure, I can start. We haven't had any, I believe on the Sun side, we're pretty much all the same. We haven't had any changes. I don't think we cycle our chiefs nearly as much as the rest of the groups do. So this is my second year doing the Suns, and I think there may have been a new chief, head chief on the daughter's side. So I think he, that's pretty much it. Most of the regular local chiefs are all the same ones that have been there that I'm aware of. So
Okay.
we don't have a specific, for the most part, the nation chief usually does the flyers, and then the local chiefs handle their individual local city recruiting is how we usually do that.
Okay, I will say this about Two Feathers in Toledo. They had the same people doing it, and then all the same people cycled out, and they had no more chiefs, and they had no one wanting to step up and be a chief. So just like you recruit for new members every year, try and recruit for new chiefs every year. Keep that cycle going. You got to get people into the hopper, into the funnel, so that you get a bunch of them in top and one of them comes out the bottom. And that's got to happen all the time. So I'm glad you still got the same number of chiefs and everything, but try and get some new ones in there too. Chris and Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so most of our positions are filled. We've got, I think, one Nations Chief's position, and the big position not filled is the Assistant Chief. The good news is there are a number of dads who are looking forward to becoming chief, but they don't want to become chief next year. They want to do it the year after that or the year after that because they might have a 2 or 3 year old right now. And so they're waiting until their younger kids get a little bit older before they get to that point. So we're hopeful that we've got that new officer blood in the pipeline. It's just the immediate term for next year. We're not clear, at least internally, who that will be it, but we're also pretty confident that we'll find someone this year. We've got a couple of guys who have held other, lesser positions that we think could do a good job. It's just be a matter of, are they ready to step up to do that or not? So that's where we're at from a chief's standpoint.
Okay, that's not necessarily a bad problem to have because you'll probably get somebody stepping up. That's good to hear. And Crooked River, we actually had one guy cycle out last year because his son graduated from high school, and then he and his new wife had a baby this year, so he'll be back as chief in about 5 years. So what comes around goes around, I guess, sometimes. Pat, you want to chime in on that? What's going on in Florida?
Sorry, I've got computer problems over here. Yeah,
That's okay.
we're seeing some numbers coming down. We don't have a lot yet. I tell you, Eola, we're probably looking at about an 80%. Going down to about a 20%. We're pushing it as we're showing that so the wives can get back their free time to have the dads take the kids out, and trying that strategy. Sounds like what you're trying to do the same. But recruitment's kind of hard right now as school is starting in Florida and school systems are so wishy-washy here. It's hard for us. So we're trying to make the best of it as we move on. Over.
Roger, thanks for your input there, and keep plugging.
Hey, George, this is Ray, and I wanted to chime in to add to Pat's rundown on Florida. One other thing that we've noticed in Florida is it appears that a few YMCA regions have canceled the Adventure Guides program this year. So we've gotten, I think, at least 3, it might have been 4, chiefs reach out to us trying to join, create a longhouse here. So that might be something you guys want to, keep your ear to the ground and listen for. If not, ask around if you know some folks with the YMCA.
Yeah, we've actually had one contact us from an Adventure Guides group that was going strong a couple of years ago. And they said, well, we don't really need the Y, but the Y has been kind of cutting loose on a bunch of stuff. And his replacement said, what are you guys doing? And they heard there's also an Indian guide program in our area, which is true. And they schedule their recruiting events on the same time we do. They look at our calendar and then their calendar seems to change. So I don't know what's going on with that. We were going to, crash one of their events and find out. But
Hey, George, what group approached you?
Parma?
Okay. I've got a buddy of mine at work. He's part of Bay Village Indian Princesses, I think. And I'm supposed to get on the call. Chris doesn't know this yet, but we're supposed to get on the call with them and kind of exchange ideas. but they expressed some interest in possibly joining National Longhouse too. So I just want to make sure we weren't burning both ends of the wick here.
So Bay Village Indian Princesses, that's the same area that Two Feathers was in.
Yeah, so I don't know why they never cross streams and figure that out, but I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I also let you know, George, too, as what Ray told you. Yes, we do have. I know of 3 that have been hit me up directly. We're working with them now. We're trying to come up, and Ray and also is helping me, and also is Brian Quirk. But we're going to come up with strategies on how we can. Ray had a great idea of making, joining them in other federations, just so they can get built up and as a nonprofit and start helping them and learning the tools that we have for National Longhouse, and then coming up with a process and how we can help them to get their nonprofit license too. So it's some ideas that we're looking at, and I tell you, as I'm coming on board trying to learn this job, thank God for Brian Quirk to be by my side, and Ray's helping me. But maybe we're trying to come up with some processes. So if any of us are encountered with new people trying to leave the YMCA or come on board, and they have a group, us coming up with a set of processes, 1, to make them nonprofit, and 2, help them get their license to be a nonprofit. So hoping to build that and get everybody's input on that. Over.
Yeah, maybe Mark probably knows this, but I think in Ohio, you really just have to pay a fee of, I think it's is it $125 to register a nonprofit entity with the state, and then you're in there. You have to have officers and some guidelines for that. But if you go on the Ohio, I think it's the Ohio Business Network or Secretary of State's office, you should be able to find that stuff. Well, that's in Ohio. I don't know what it is on Florida, but it's about just registering with that and then getting in. And so that's going to jump me ahead to some stuff that I was going to talk about. Last year, I got my master's degree, and part of that master's degree was setting up Circle Bridge training. And the first learning management system I set it up in was just not working. It wasn't working for the people that were testing it. So I tried something else through my last job, and then they said I couldn't do it. So I've been looking for a learning management system that I could do it, and I finally found one. And you guys have probably heard of it. It's called Blackboard. But Blackboard actually has a free site to be able to do different things. So I'm about halfway built with that. I'm going to try and finish it in the next couple of weeks, but I actually moved out of the state of Ohio. I'm in Carlisle, Pennsylvania right now at the U.S. Army War College, and I am the Blackboard administrator up here now. So we're going to get that up and get it going. And I already checked before I started doing the work about, there's no conflict of interest and no ownership or anything like that. So the Circle Bridge, which is our registration software, Pat, which the training for that will be up shortly. I have all the documents up. I'm just working on getting the videos in the right format so that they play correctly and are clear. And that should be up in the next couple of weeks. So you've heard me say that before. I just kind of ran into some roadblocks, and that's going to be something that new longhouses are going to want, because we want them to, use Circle Bridge to register for longhouse dues. Plus, it's a great management tool for events. You cycle it in there, and it sends reminders out to people and those settings, and you can send emails out. Sometimes there's a challenge with an email, so you got to, go into a junk file. So you got to get people to put it in their address book so that it shows up. But we've got a video for that now, and we'll be sharing that here very soon. So I hope that'll help. I know Ray's glad to hear that. And
No, I'm definitely glad to hear that, George, because some of these new incoming and hopefully to be soon separate federations in Florida, definitely, I'd like to get a copy of that.
Well, I will begin enrolling people here, and I will send a notice out. I think I can have a maximum of 100 without charging anything. So I think I've got more than enough space for that. I just
Okay.
got to create a few more activities for the practice Circle Bridge site. So,
All right, let me know. I'll definitely, what I can do to help, because I definitely will have, I would, and some of these people, and because we got rotating positions, we definitely will have some people who would want to be interested in existing federations. So, yeah,
okay,
please let me know.
that's great. And that brings up another thing. After this one, we've been putting together some stuff in Crooked River about chief training, how to be a chief. Right now, I'm a sachem for Crooked River, but I'm also the wampum. So I'm trying to put together some procedures for that. Part of the Circle Bridge procedures that go over invoices are wampum duties. And, I don't know how everybody keeps track of their stuff, but some of the other chief positions, it's not rocket science, but, being an OIC for a camp, that's a management challenge sometimes. You got to coordinate people, transportation, food, COVID protections, scarves, stuff like that, prizes. So it's a management piece, but if we can have some training like that, I'll probably ask some of you guys to chip in some thoughts with that, and also be guinea pigs for taking that training, and let me know what works and what doesn't.
Yeah,
So-
we basically that'd be a great idea, and especially the teacher resources are where they can get stuff on the site. But the other thing is too, we don't want to over inundate them and scare them away. Or
No, we don't. I'm breaking this Circle Bridge training down into 6 parts. So, just to not overwhelm people, and, they can take it at their leisure. They can actually take some of the training, but not all of it, and still qualify for a certificate. So uh, uh, I can't wait to get it done, for one thing, and get it out there. But I'll probably ask some of you guys to look at it before I release it generally to the entire National Longhouse. Okay, I think we kind of talked about that. Okay, website marketing communication, we talked about that too. Let me bring you up to date on what Crooked River is doing for some things. We used to do flyers in the schools, and that's where we got 90% of our membership from. Well, half the schools don't let us put flyers out anymore, but they all have electronic blogs or electronic advertising systems. We paid $500 for the Berea Mid-Park school system for their I think it's called Peachtree advertising. And every time an advertisement goes out, it costs $5, and it goes out to the entire school system or a specific school. So we can target the elementary schools, or even junior highs, or the entire school system. And so we've put $500 into that, and that's 100 messages. So if you think about the coverage for that, it's going to be terrific for that. But that's only one school system, and we have 4 or 5 in our area, including Strongsville. We're trying to break into those other schools, but they have limits on what they will do and what they won't. But one of them screwed up and let another group in. So now we're kind of pressuring them to say, hey, not supposed to play favorites, and so on and so forth. So we're trying not to be the bad guys about it. We're trying to be good guys and show what we're able to do for that. But I think we hit marketing pretty good. Does anybody else have anything else to add about website marketing communications? Anything about online, social media? Mark, you guys doing anything for that?
Yeah, we have a social media chief in our tribe, and he does social media full time for I think it's RV Share. But we're doing some more stuff. Chris wants to see us make more use of video. I'll send a link around to everybody on the invite. I put together a couple of different episodes of CVNSND news where I was playing the host, and we had kids as correspondents. So we had them do weather reports and a bunch of other kind of wacky stuff. We put that out on Facebook just to kind of keep the Longhouse engaged as we were all sort of in pandemic mode and not meeting. So I'll put a couple links in there, but it was cool. I mean, Chris's kid did a cooking thing, and we had a lot of fun with it, and then kind of work got in the way. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to be able to do some more of these coming up here. But it was a fun way to keep people engaged. I think we're going to do some video testimonials that we can put up on Facebook. I had a call today with Valpak, which is those little coupons that you get mailed. They were kind of expensive. They actually said if we got some of our longhouses together, they might give us a better break, but they're still looking for an investment of at least $800 a longhouse. It's essentially be around $200 a month, and it depends on how many zones you need to hit. And like we're across 2 zones, so we're looking at $500 a month, which is cost prohibitive for us, especially with local dues being cut back this year. But yeah, we're continuing to sort of reach out and see what else we can do. Yard signs are a big part of what we're doing marketing wise. But we'll let you know as we sort of get our plan more together.
Okay, if you go to YouTube and you Google or you search for Crooked River Longhouse, you'll see something that says, "Welcome to the Crooked River Local Longhouse." It's about a 10-minute video. It starts off with the drum circle we had at Camp Fitch, and then as myself and my daughter, I think when she was 8, she's 15 now. So it's a little bit antiquated, but it talks about the structure of our longhouse and everything, and you can feel free to use that to show other people too. And I had a little bit more hair back then, so a few less wrinkles, but it kind of gives a nice overview that you can feel free to share. And there's a couple other videos on there too. One, Welcome Native Sons and Daughters, kind of a picture of music montage. So feel free to do stuff like that, and then share it where you will. Okay, event ideas. I'm going to start with Crooked River. Mini golf outside. Keep each family group or each family pair, at one end of the hole and then the other end of the hole, and you can't finish until the next one in front of you moves up. We did a virtual fishing derby, or we're in the middle of it right now, to where you go fishing with your family and then you get to post your catches. And I don't know how this kid pulled this huge bass out of this little pond, those little pond areas for drainage and housing areas. But somebody must have stocked it because he pulled this huge largemouth bass out of that. We usually do the mini car races, and that's, too close. We can't do that, but we're going to go ahead and have the mini car design contest. The kids will send pictures of their cars in, and then we'll have voting. And I think somebody just found an app for that, so we'll be able to use the app for voting. The respectful camping, it's kind of like what you described down at Mohican, which is what we did too. Our fall camp looks like it's just going to be a single day outdoors in the woods at Camp Koinonia, which is out in the Geneva, Madison area of Ohio. And we always do Alex's lemonade stand, and we've raised over $2,000 for them over the past 4 years. But this year we had a number of families put up an Alex's lemonade stand in their front yard, and we made as much this year as we usually do outside of Gibbs Meat Market. And so that's getting the volunteer thing out of the way, letting the kids do something with mom and dad, and it's always for a good cause. So what else you guys got?
I can go first if you want. As I mentioned, we're doing a bike parade a week from this Saturday. We also are not going to be doing our traditional fall camp out. We've instead opted to do a canoe outing at Camp High in Manaway. And we're going to try to work with the sort of a campground that's associated with like a mini campground to see if at least we can do something at the conclusion of the canoe ride, whether it's a bonfire, like a mini torch park, something to at least have some of the same elements we've had from our camping events in the past. Our induction ceremony, we're going to be doing a rocket launch for that, like we've done in the past, but rather than like we've done them in the past where it's kind of a free-for-all, kids all over the place kind of thing, we're hopeful to be able to do it at Hiram House. We would set up cones in the field. You know, instead of having the kids chase after the rocket like they normally would, we instructed them, you know, stay on your blanket. The blankets would be socially distanced from each other. And then each cone would be some sort of small prize. And the rocket closest to the cone would be the one to win the prize. So it's important the rockets all stay in place until the conclusion of the event. You know, we'll be doing a nature walk in November. Probably come January when Strongsville Metro Park opens up the tobogganing. I'll look to do a tobogganing event there. Mark had done, and I forget, Mark, which group that was through, but a virtual bingo event through Zoom that was fun. And so we programmed that to be, I think, sometime in March if we're not able to do our Pine Car Derby. But that's one that we could almost slot in anytime. If we're finding something gets canceled and want to get an event together, it should be pretty low cost and easy to put together. So, you know, we've had to, you know, be creative like I think everyone has to be creative to find ways to engage families, keep them involved, keep them excited, and yet still be safe and present a responsible front for the rest of the community.
That's a great idea. By the way, I have a Zoom account, so if you need to use it, just let me know.
Thank you. Actually, I use Works. I'm a partner at the firm I'm at, so I can take advantage of things like the color copier and the Zoom account.
Great. What color copier? I'll be over. Jason?
We've done a bike parade last year. That would probably work out pretty well. I thought fishing also would be something. I recently did, I don't know how you guys feel about group events at like, you know, centers. For instance, we recently did one of the, just as a family, we did, it wasn't Sky Zone, it was, you know, it was Sky Zone, I think, one of the trampoline parks. And they're, I mean, they are open, they have their own regulations. The only thing I would think is would have to be controlled to allow for it to get decent, but that would also be something that, you know, because obviously the other ideas you guys have all had are similar things that we've thought about. But yeah, something like there's Sky Zone, there's Zip City, you know, they have their own measures in place and they are open and they do have people staffing the group counters. So
they just keep you in one area so you're not like jumping all over the building and stuff, and they just
so
give you
they,
one little area?
I mean, they're kind of handling it very similar to how amusement parks are. So
Okay.
they're mostly handling it by reducing capacity.
Okay.
So less people, more stuff. I don't think they're actively, I didn't notice anybody that was actively saying like there's too many people in here, but also most of the places that I've been to, they're pretty, you know, I think when we were there, we were one of like 3 groups of people there. So some of these businesses are kind of hurting for customers as well.
Yeah. Great. Pat, you have anything to add? Got to take yourself off mute. Ray, we giving you some good information there to share?
Sure, and every time I press my mute button to come off mute, I realize I've been typing away off mute already, so sorry about that. Yeah, definitely, and I know I'd like to, you know, go back and touch on a few of those points, and if you guys are interested, I've been in a few meetings like this already, and I can share some of those ideas too. But
Sure.
so Crooked River, you said that you had a virtual fishing derby.
We're having a virtual fishing derby.
Okay, okay. And the idea is that you go fishing with your dad and you catch fish and you take. Is it everybody fishing at the same time, like over Zoom?
No, it's when you
No.
can. So
Okay.
you got to
and then,
take a picture, you got to measure it, you got to weigh it.
yeah.
And we give different prizes for different ones. When we usually do it, there's a place out in Akron that we go to. I can't remember what it is right now, but it's
Kind of
a
like a
public.
virtual run, George, where you just log in your hours and when you fish, what you're
You
talking
got,
about?
you got to have evidence. You can't just imagine you did it.
Well, yeah, you do pictures or whatever. Yeah, I understand it, but
Yeah.
it's not, I think that's what I always had a hard time understanding what Ray was saying.
So, and then you guys also have a Pinewood Derby design contest, and that's something that's what made me circle back here. Really, the virtual fishing was an afterthought, but one of the groups in California has already had a virtual Pinewood Derby. I guess you guys call them mini cars, right?
Right.
So they literally, so what they did, what you guys just said, where the kids are making the cars at home, but then instead of having a race day, like you guys are talking about, where everybody shows up and they're not social distancing, they actually set up a track. And I mean, I haven't seen the video of it or anything. I'm not sure if they had all kinds of different fancy camera angles or if it was just a guy with a cell phone, showing the different runs. But I think they did it over Zoom, and they had, I think, 2 or 3 dads there. The kids, I guess, got their cars to the chiefs, and the chiefs to the nation chiefs or something like that, and they just watched their cars race over Zoom, and it sounds like it went pretty well. So, I thought that was a very creative idea, and it sounds like you guys might actually still be able to do that if you're interested. But then Alex's Lemonade, I was furiously typing away when you were saying what happened with that. Are you guys doing Alex's, or is it postponed, or what's happening there?
Well, we usually do it outside Gibbs Meat Market on a specific day because they give away samples. So, when you give free samples of sausage and stuff like that, because they make it in about 380 different varieties. I mean, blueberry, Brown's sausage, stuff like that.
All right.
You get people, and there's some serious people here. I mean, you can tell they love sausage, and they get there early. But we usually get about $500 a pop outside of Gibbs for that. But obviously, we couldn't do that this year, so people just did it in their front yards. So just like
Oh,
little kid lemonade stands, but
that's
it's Alex's lemonade stand, and we did give them some support with signage and stuff like that. But they did it in their own neighborhoods, in front of their own houses. I mean, let's say what it
Yeah.
is. There are
That's-
some neighborhoods that have millions of little kids running around where it's more conducive to do something like that
Yeah.
than other neighborhoods. But
Yeah.
we were just as successful this year as we were any other year, which is really great.
That is really great. That was a great idea. So I'm glad I circled back to ask, because, that was a great idea. Let's see. Oh yeah, I think it was Cuyahoga. Was it Cuyahoga Valley that was talking about trampoline parks?
Chagrin.
It was Chagrin that was doing the
Jason.
trampoline parks. Okay, yeah, I had you guys confused. Yeah, that's another. You made a great point that some of these locations that have typically been, big spots for kids, are open and do have their own guidelines to follow, and they really could be an alternative to some of the things that we're if there are things that we're not able to do this year. So that's a very good point. And I heard basically the term respectful camping a couple times, which I like that term, and that's that's a very good way to put it. And then it must have been Cuyahoga who had the rocket launch every year.
Yes.
Well, Crooked
And
River does that too, so we were looking at that for our induction too, so thanks for the idea. The rocket launch is really a great thing to add for induction, because you've got that big ceremony, and ours is about 25 minutes long, and then it kind of like releases some steam after that to fire rockets and have some food and stuff. Obviously, the food have to be bring your own this year, but rockets go great with that.
But the scheme of the rockets this year, I didn't quite follow it. It sounded kind of like you set up cones out in the field where the rocket's going to land, and I guess each kid or each tribe maybe has a certain different color of cones, and whichever one it lands closest to is the winner. Is that?
So we've had the struggle with our rocket launches. It's typically mayhem of kids running through the fields chasing their rockets. So
Sure.
we want to cut down on that. So we're going to put like essentially proximity markers. And the rule is the rocket has to hit the ground. And at the end of the day, we're going to see who's closest to these markers and they'll win a prize. So it should add a little more sportsmanship to the day. And you have to kind of watch and see if any rocket, it's essentially rocket bocce ball.
I see. Okay, so they win the prize that's in the cone.
Rocket bocce ball. Rocket curling.
Well, I think you guys had a lot of great ideas, and that's I was hoping that we could get individual meetings set up for the different RALs to be able to do this and basically compare notes. I get the impression that we have quite a few tribes that didn't, or I'm sorry, longhouses who didn't make it here tonight, and that's a shame because they're missing out. But it's really neat to me how you can get into a group of guys and they will come up with just the most creative, great ideas on how to do an event differently or a new event, because of this pandemic. And then you sit down with another group of guys and they come up with an entirely new list of things, and that's really neat. And so when we finish up with each of these RAL meetings, we'll have the RAL chiefs get together and compare notes too, and hopefully have a long list of very creative solutions. And to get up on my soapbox for just a moment, creativity is the name of the game this year. I mean, and you guys have obviously done it. So keep that up. Creativity, creativity, creativity. That's right here in my notes. So, I could certainly, draw the meeting out and talk about the things that I've heard from other longhouses if you guys are interested in that. Or, like I said, we're going to do that, when we finish up with these RAL meetings anyway and have a list to distribute. But I know the one that I just can't resist mentioning is one of the guys in Florida proposed that they have a new event that's called Build Something with Your Dad. And it's just such a simple concept, but we're all around the house anyway, just build something together and, get a patch for it. Maybe it turns into a competition or maybe not, but it's dad spending time with kids, and I don't know, it's just one that it was really near and dear to my heart. So, I really don't have anything to add unless you guys, have specific questions that you'd like my input on.
Hey, George, this is Pat. The one thing I do, I'm still trying to learn as a RAL. Ryan's helping me, but I also like to learn from you too. And that was my biggest thing in joining this one, to see how you conduct it so I can learn. But I've been asking a lot of questions, and I think me and you need to team up more so we can start sharing ideas. on how we're doing our RAL, because I finally got something out of Greg and Brian that shows us our duties as RAL. Do you have a copy of that over?
I do not. I have what Mike Ivan gave me that he figured out. And
Yeah, this is, I finally got something in writing, what we're supposed to do as RALs and what that means. And it was very extremely beneficial, and it'll help us deal with our longhouses. So maybe someday you and I can just talk, and I'll send it to you so you realize what's going on. So the more I found out, the more squeaky wheel that I am, the more often I get information, and I want to share it with others. Over.
please do. I mean, any of that stuff. You know, if we can put together a little continuity package for each one of these things, you know, what a OIC does, what a, Bling chief does, what a social media chief does, what a, all this does, then it just makes the next group come in, instead of having to recreate or learn the new wheel, they hit the ground running, and then they tweak stuff where it should be tweaked, instead of, turning stuff over or not getting stuff done and everything like that. So I would love to see that. Please send it to me. Do you have my email? Or you
Yeah, I
got
sure do.
it?
And like I said, I just got it. Brian was able to get it out of Greg this weekend, and I'll share it with you. And if we
All
can
right.
start building that teamwork with each other, I think that would be great. Over.
Yeah, that would be great. That would probably lend itself to the organization structure too. So let's do that.
Well, we should have a couple more RAL chiefs that would greatly benefit from, the knowledge that each of you has. So keep that in mind too. I'm sure they'd like to participate.
I'm glad you invited Pat, and I'm glad you other guys showed up. I'm sorry about the other longhouses, but they usually don't show anyway until they have issues. So I will post this recording. I'll send a link out to it so they can at least get the information secondhand. And Ray, I'll follow up with them by phone if they return calls or answer or not. You've got the answer on Toledo and Two Feathers right there. So, Toledo was always a touch and go anyway. They've been, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had about 20 families at the biggest point, and then that chief just disappeared and wasn't able to pass anything on to anybody else. So that's an issue. But with the adventure guides coming in and Pat and other people, we've got some tools that we can help with. So thanks for participating, anybody. Does anybody have any other questions for me? Mark, thanks for sharing your posters. We'll be in touch about the contact for that.
Yeah, I'm about to put out an email that has all that information in it. So.
All right. You mind if I forward it to the other longhouses?
No, that's fine. I'm actually replying to everybody that was invited to this, so they might get it as well.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. Noon way.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you,
George, for
George.
hosting.
All right. You take care.
Bye, everybody.